Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is 𝗞𝗲𝘆 𝗣cie𝗶𝘵𝘁𝘀. I am a holistic transformation, personal empowerment, and self-mastery expert, founder and creator of Venture Limitless, the world's leading personal growth hacking agency, empowering all who relentlessly pursue excellence to exponentially increase the quality of their life by 10xing the only common denominator, themselves. Today, I'm going to talk about a very important topic that I think that is essential and of great interest to all of us, and that is how to attract our soulmate. I believe that this is a topic that is dear to the hearts of every person who haven't found their soulmate yet, or those who maybe don't feel like they found it and are in a relationship that's not fulfilling them, or it's not providing them with what they're looking for. And they're open to explore possibilities, opportunities, and what's out there. So we're going to start this talk with the most fundamental point that I want to make today. Because without this foundation, stable foundation to build on, no great relationship that would last and serve both partners in a positive way could be built. It's like if we are to build a house, first we need to have a very solid foundation we can build on. Because if the ground is not solid, the foundation, the structure that we're going to create is going to be very weak and willing to crumble at the smallest obstacle or challenge that puts it to the test. And obviously, if we find our soulmate, which we totally can and we will if we set our minds to and do what's necessary, then we don't want to lose that person because, let's say, we didn't do our homework first as one of the parties come into the relationship, because it takes two to tango, as we well know, and same with any healthy relationship. But the first relationship that is fundamentally essential in this process is the fundamental truth that we first have to have a healthy, amazing relationship with ourselves. So my first question to you is, have you thought about, reviewed, and analyzed your personal relationship with yourself thus far? What do I mean by this? Well, there are two fundamental pieces that allow us to have a very healthy relationship with ourselves. First one is self-acceptance, or accepting who we are, and how we have been created, rather than always looking at what's not perfect, what could be better, why we born this way, or whatever the hell it is, our background and things outside of our control, right? If we are to focus our attention on things that we have no control of, no choice over, it's not in our ability to control, change, or do anything about, which is how we are born, where we are born, who our parents are, how we were brought up, and all these things. Again, these are things entirely outside of our control. It's just how things work. What we can focus on is how we can instead, right? Instead, what we can focus on, which is the most effective thing we can do in any situation, is how can we do the most or make the most with what we are given. And honestly, if we have to review the whole situation by zooming out the big picture rather than the zoom picture to actually get a good idea and perspective and context of where we are, first we have to realize that it's only one me, one you, and there's never gonna be a second one. We are unique, authentic, amazing, 100% authentic, amazing, unique creations of this universe. There's never gonna be a second one. And if we are brought into this life, there was a specific reason for us to be here. And it's not just to kind of like get along and survive and whatever, and maybe have a relationship or maybe meet few people and so on. We are brought here because we have gifts to give. And part of our journey in this game of life is to discover what they are, how can we develop them, and how can we serve the greater good and contribute by using our gifts. So we are all amazing, literally, all amazing, and have greatness built in by birth. And greatness is our birthright too. This also applies when it comes down to our relationships, and especially the relationship we have with ourselves. Because before we accept ourselves and start to love ourselves, because this is the second element, first we accept ourselves for who we are and how we are. And then, based on this milestone, we can start developing self-love for ourselves. Because with self-love comes self-worth. And why is this important? Well, they say that two people complete each other. Well, I'll tell you what, this is total bullshit. Because if you have half, if you add half plus half, or again, two people that are, let's say, haven't done their homework yet, what do you get? You get one. Well, you cannot have a relationship with one person in it. You have to have two. So you need two complete individuals to create an extraordinary relationship, or relationship that is built to last and can be a lifetime relationship between soulmates rather than a temporary relationship between, let's say, parties that are just there for a sweet short cruise. We don't want that. If we're gonna put the effort, energy, and so on to become an extraordinary person, or to polish our own gem and become the gem we are meant to be, then we don't want to rough it out with glass, broken glass, and all kinds of shattered little crystals randomly displaced and so on. We want to have another brilliant in our life that we can create a beautiful spectacle with. And why is it fundamentally important to have first self-acceptance of who we are, how we are, for being unique, one in the whole world, having self-love for each other, and self-worth? Well, here is why. Because the level of depth you can go by being self-honest and introspective and open to accepting yourself, the depth you can go within yourself is the depth you can go with someone else. And the word intimacy, right? Because in order to have a healthy relationship, you need to have a deep level of intimacy between the partners. The level the depth you can go with someone else is the depth you have been with yourself. Because intimacy, it could be looked at into me see, or being open to be seen as you are. Being vulnerable, not playing it, oh, I'm all cool, I'm like this and this, I'm toughing it out, and you know, I'm this strong and independent person and this and that. You don't get in a relationship because you don't have needs. We all have needs, and part of why we want a partner and somebody to share our life with is because we have needs that need to be fulfilled by someone else beside ourselves. So this is why it's fundamentally important to have this level of self-acceptance, self-love, and self-worth, so we can build a healthier relationship with very deep intimacy between ourselves and our partner. And hopefully, again, they've done the same work themselves, so we can have 1 + 1 = 11, or a wonderful relationship between two complete individuals, rather than two halves trying to complete each other, not understanding that the math doesn't add. Because again, if we add 0.5 plus 0.5, what we're gonna get? 1. However, if we add 1 plus 1, we actually get 11, because there's nothing to complete. They already are complete. Or if we are already complete, and the person coming into the relationship, our lover, significant other, soulmate, is another complete person, we're gonna have an amazing team of 11 rather than 1 + 1 = 1. So, moving on. Now, when we come to examine relationships, love, romance, and all these important terms and labels we have in our life that create a very significant effect on the quality of our life, first it's important to examine the cultural archetypes, or the popular concepts or models of what those things are and what defines a successful, for example, the cultural archetype for love. What is love? And what is a romantic relationship, or what is successful relationship or marriage, and so on, whichever the labels you're interested at based on how far you want to take your relationship, right? So what is love? What is marriage? What is a relationship? Or in like what society deems a successful relationship, love, romance, marriage, and all these labels. Now I want you to understand that this is just what is widely accepted by people with no obvious desire to think for themselves. And most of the time, none of those labels are realistic, from the sense of the reality is no size or one size fits all. Just like if you were to go in the shoe store and you were to put some shoes on, just random shoes, you grab them from the shelf and put them on without asking for your own size, you quickly gonna find out that those probably shoes that you like probably don't fit your shoes, fit your feet, and you actually have to select a different pair, or at least ask for the ones that are actually in your size, right? Because they might look nice, but they don't fit your size. Well, it's the same with these labels. Let's put it this way. I want you to start looking and thinking of them as just general idea of what could it be. However, I want you to take it a step further and define what a successful relationship, marriage, or whatever, again, depth of relationship and how you want your relationship to be structured looks like. I want you to define this for yourself rather than allowing somebody to dictate to you how you should live your life. Because if you live your life based on someone else's idea of what your life should be, I have news for you. You'll be disappointed, miserable, and have lots of regrets at the end of your life. And I want to save you this suffering and pain later down the road. so we can start designing the ideal relationship in your case, whatever makes sense to you and feels true to you, rather than what somebody else out there is telling you, the experts and so on. I don't want to tell you what it is. I want you to define for yourself what that is, the successful, ideal relationship for yourself. What means a successful romantic relationship for yourself? What does it mean for you to have a soulmate? Don't take anyone's idea. Just use them as inspiration and then create your own that fits your own size, your own model of the world. Whatever you feel within your heart will fulfill you with your relationship. Because at the end of the day, a relationship is not just about you. It's about the other person too. So you want to make sure that both of you are getting your needs met and feeling and enjoying being in that relationship, rather than one side benefits, the other one is kind of like, I'm just here because maybe my parents, maybe my friends or whatever, like I want you to think good of me and not to think that, I screwed up my relationship or whatever, what other people's gonna think about me and so on, which is popularly referred to as goop, or the good opinion of other people, which here is my take on that. Fuck what other people think, because it's their own thoughts and live in their own heads. I don't want to know. It's not my problem. As long as I'm satisfied with my life, I feel fulfilled, and I live a life true to myself, authentically. That's all that matters. What you think about me is not my problem, as I'm not concerned thinking about you. It's the reality that we live in. Once you realize that you are the leading actor of your own movie called your life, and everyone else could be at best a supporting actor, and at worst, a movie extra, then you realize that in everyone else's life, this is going on as well. They're the main actor, and everyone else is either a supporting actor or a movie extra. So people go around for a major part of their life trying to impress others, to be always in their background of their thinking. It's like, oh, what would that person think? What would that person think? Well, I have a eye-opening news for you. They're not concerned and thinking about you. They're thinking the very same thing you're concerned with, which is, oh, what is this person gonna think of me or say about me, and so on and so on. So you can let go of this concern right now and start living a life that's true to you, that's authentic, that fulfills you. And as long as you're not causing pain, suffering, and in any way harming others, by all means, live by your own rules, terms, and so on, because that's what I've done for all of my life. This is what I help my clients do, to create a life that's true to them, a life that is tailored to their own model of reality, their desires, their specific, their unique gifts, and so on, rather than what everyone else thinks should be, and be guided by someone else's opinion. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who's going to live your life. So might as well live a life that suits and fits you, that is bespoke to you, rather than adopting someone else's idea of what your life should be. Because if they're so smart and have a great idea of what their life or your life should look like, well, might as well test it out on their own back and then come and report to you what the results are. Now, moving forward, we have another important point to work on our homework first before going and attracting our soulmate. And this is to review, analyze, introspect deeply and reflect on our serious romantic relationships from the past and to see if there is a specific pattern. What do I mean by this? What kind of people do we tend to attract? Do you always kind of end up finding ourselves with assholes or, you know, whatever people? Like, you always kind of like, oh, this person is like, he end up being like this person, or she end up being like this person, and, you know, always attracting people with similar characteristics and ending up in a relationship that looks a lot like your previous one. Like, you start to see a pattern, a repeating pattern of your choice of partners and the relationship you end up in, because this is a very important pattern to break, especially if it's an unhealthy one. Because relationship dynamics are mutually created. Both parties create them. Each one needs to take credit for their part for creating this relationship. And a lot of the times, I'm gonna just give it to you the truth. The partners we choose in our life, in a lot of respects, are similar or have similar characteristics to either our mother or our father. Or like, if I was a man, which I am, and I had unhealthy relationship with my mother, what do I mean? I didn't get the love and affection and acceptance and so on from my mom. I will repeat this pattern for the rest of my life, going out there looking for women that remind me of my mom to give me this love, this affection, this attention, this acceptance. Same with women. For example, if I was a woman and let's say I didn't have a healthy relationship with my dad, he didn't give me the love, the affection, the whatever I wanted my father to give me, I would go out there, and for the rest of my life, until I realize that I have this unhealthy pattern, will be looking for men that treat me like my father in a lot of respects, to gain their approval over time by being wonderful and whatever, by trying hard to gain their approval, their love, affection, and so on. Right? We want to realize that there is this unhealthy relationship pattern going on in our life before we get ourselves into our next relationship. Because if we don't break this pattern now, or at some point, unfortunately, the next relationship you're going to end up in is going to be a lot like the one you were before. The only difference would be the person's not the person you will be in this relationship is not going to look exactly like the previous person, but the whole experience of the relationship would be the same. So I want you to really sit down, look back on your romantic life up to this point, see if there's any particular pattern that you can recognize that it's time to break and grow out of. This is a very important piece of the homework you need to do. Now, as I mentioned, relationship dynamics are mutually created, meaning that even if you end up in 10 times in a same or very similar relationship with people that had the same traits, treated you the same way, and the outcome was always the same disappointment or whatever it was, you contributed for the creation of this dynamic. You have to take full credit. Even if it's 5%, you still contributed to the creation of this dynamic. And I want you to realize that the only common denominator in all of these relationships is you. So maybe the person, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just who they are. Maybe the fundamental problem lays within you. and the issues you haven't figured out yet, your emotional trauma and so on that you haven't worked out yet, before you can get into a healthy relationship. Again, because as I mentioned already, if we had unhealthy relationship with one of the parent figures in our life, father or mother, doesn't matter, we will, for a long time, even sometimes for the rest of our life, will be ending up in relationships that allow us to recreate the experience and dynamic that was going on in our own childhood with our parents, in order to prove ourselves back at them and gain their approval, love, and affection through this person, through our soulmate or our romantic partner. We don't want this. This is not a healthy thing to do. And it's always going to lead to disappointment, pain, and suffering for all parties, or at least one of them, for sure. We want to break this before we get into anything else. So I do recommend that you sit down and seriously, again, because this is part of the homework with Into Me See, is to go deep within you and start reviewing your past relationships and finding your pattern, if there is one. Hopefully there isn't, but maybe there is. Continuing on. Here's the next part. Why what I already stated is important, because you need to understand that relationships are not there to make you happy. If you cannot make yourself happy, nobody's going to make you happy, because you're in control of your emotional state. No one else is. Relationships are vehicles for personal growth, just like a business is or anything else is. Becoming a parent is a vehicle for your personal growth. It has nothing to do with the children. It all has to do with you. It's always about personal growth. Life is a growth-centric experience. We are all here to learn, to grow, and to contribute in our best possible ability. So don't expect your relationship to always be smooth sailing. This is unrealistic and totally, how they said this animation movie, Pollyanna. We don't want to live in Pollyanna, because Pollyanna, we all know, is this animation and a story, nothing more. I want you to have a realistic understanding of what the relationships are. Because if you're going to your relationship expecting, or at least being open to be tested one way or another, because a relationship magnifies the things your partner in your relationship will magnify back at you, the things, the parts of your identity, of your individuality, of your personality that you haven't taken ownership of yet. Kind of like your dark side, right? So let's say you're a very organized person, right? Your partner maybe is not so organized, is messy, right? Every time he lives mess or she lives mess, you'll go like, you'll trigger you, right? It'll make you, will mess with your emotional state, will upset you one way or another. Or there are many ways this could be looked at, but this is what this other person's gonna do. Because there's, again, as I said earlier, there's only one you, meaning that not by the looks, but only also with personality, the way you think and feel and see the world. There's nobody else with that. And the chances of you meeting someone who has the exact same mindset, beliefs, values, ways of operating into the world, personality, characteristics, how they keep their environment are slim to none. So one of the, especially when you start sharing space with this person and, let's say, start living together and so on and so on, and even having kids, out of these things will come up. They'll be magnified. They'll be in your face. And you'll have to work through them. It's not like you can go and call customer service and be like, yes, you know, I have an issue with this product. You know, that would have been awesome if there was, you know, I'm sure in the near future they'll have these robots that you can, you know, just bring into your life and kind of play along that role that, you know, they'll kind of be like your dog, but full-blown person that can play the role of a partner there, but doesn't rock the boat, always do what you want, but then there's not going to be a relationship, there's going to be a dictatorship. You'll be like the, you know, Benito Mussolini or Hitler or something like that. And I'm not sure if this is what you're looking for, but if that's the case, well, you probably need to wait a little bit more until they put them out for sale. Now, next step we're going to take from here on is, now imagine you're already in this amazing, successful relationship that you have already defined what that means for you. The first thing you need to do when you're starting to build this relationship, again, because the dynamic, the relationship dynamic is mutually created, is for you to clearly learn to communicate your needs to your partner. Expecting that someone can read your mind and know what you need, what you want, what you don't want, and so on, is childish at best, and it's going to lead you to a lot of suffering and a lot of drama, unnecessary drama in your relationship. If you can just, again, grow up, because that's the key and why you want to be in a relationship, to grow, because it's a vehicle for your personal growth. Emotional maturity, spiritual maturity, and so on. You want to be able to learn to communicate clearly your needs. Because unless you do, your partner will not know what exactly you need when you need it. Once you've communicated and so on, and if your partner is empathic enough and aware of what's going on, maybe they can anticipate your needs. But without you clearly stating what's going on within your head and within your heart, nobody's going to know. So you need to learn to communicate clearly your needs. You cannot expect people to read your mind. I personally been in a relationship a long time ago like this, and it was very frustrating because I love my partner very much and she loved me very much as well. But sometimes I can clearly see on her face and with her behavior and stuff, things like that, because I'm highly empathic and I can read people and also intuitive. So I know when something's off. I would be like, what's wrong? I know something's wrong and it has to do with me and you. Tell me what it is. And she would get even more upset and be like, oh, you need to know. You should know. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't read minds yet. And luckily, I don't even want to, because I don't want to know what's going on in your head. I just want you to communicate to me so I can help you. I don't need the rest of the information there, right? So to remove and limit this amount of frustration for both of the partners in the relationship, it's important, not only you, but also to help your partner. If they're having a hard time communicating what their needs are, to ask them. If you're open to communicating yours, you should be open to asking them what theirs are. Because it's only fair that if you're in this together and we are soulmates, is to support each other, right? Because we are a team. 1 + 1 = 11, rather than, oh, it's like, what's in it for me? If that's how you come into the relationship, well, you know what? Just turn off the video and go watch something else. This is not for you. If you're here to just for what's in it for me, type of relationship, transactional relationship, good luck, goodbye. Right? So you need to be there for your partner if you really want a soulmate and a healthy relationship. Because life is all about growth and contribution. And it doesn't mean, when I say contribution, that you have to be like Mother Teresa and go out there and help millions or, you know, thousands, millions, hundreds of thousands of people, billions of people. As long as you can contribute genuinely and sincerely to one person, which could be your partner, your children, your parents, doesn't matter, that's already contribution. Anything you do outside of you, ethnocentrically rather than egocentrically, is contribution. So again, communicating clearly to your partner, your needs, and also being open and eliciting them or asking them for their needs if they're unable to communicate or are unclear about the need to communicate their needs, so you can build a healthy relationship from the get-go and remove as much as possible this friction and frustration that not being able or not communicating would lead to eventually. Because trust me, it will. And again, if you're honest with yourself and actually did what I advised you to do just moments ago, to review your relationship patterns, you will notice that if you clearly communicated your needs in your relationship, maybe you would have not ended up in that relationship for that long, or maybe your relationship could have turned out in a different way. The next point that is important, once we've found our partner, and we'll talk about how to find them, but it's more important to know how to structure this healthy relationship. Just like if you're going into business with someone else, your business partner, you need to have a very solid partnership agreement. And I just use this as a analogy, not necessarily as like, oh, you have to go and sign papers and documents. And if you want to, if you're that pedantic, then by all means go and do it. That's not what I meant. But it's a good analogy to follow. So the next step would be to set healthy boundaries, right? Again, this has to do with communicating your needs and then setting boundaries. Like the moment your partner goes over whatever is acceptable to you, you set down boundary again, because the relationship dynamics are mutually created. And if your partner is encroaching on a boundary you have, but you haven't clearly communicated, he's going to continuously do it and get on your nerves and so on and so on and so on, and build up this unnecessary frustration when, again, you can clearly communicate it and set those boundaries so you don't find yourself in a horrible relationship months down the road, right? You start by saying this, oh, this is not good, fine with me, I don't like this, right? With my current partner, I've been with someone that I love very much and dearly in an open relationship for over 2 years now, going to about 2.5 years. She's been very clear, and I love that about her, communicating her boundaries. Like, oh, this is, don't call me this, don't, whatever. Okay, I respect this, thanks for telling me, right? And I've been the same way. Because since in our open relationship, when we not have exclusive rights over each other, we all understand what we are, right? And we've set boundaries that we both respect, and hence 2.5 years later, we're still, going as if it was the first time we met, passionate, loving, caring, affectionate, and so on, based because we communicate our needs, we set our healthy boundaries, and we respect them. We respect and love each other dearly from a genuine and sincere place, because this is important. right? And then having a mutual agreement, right? We set the boundaries, and let's say at the end of the day, this is not one side wins it all. It's a negotiation, right? Again, following the idea of partnership agreement when you go into business with someone. You want to have a mutual agreement, meaning like you sometimes, it's you give a little bit, they give a little bit, you come to a mutual agreement on specific things, right? There's going to be areas where you're going to have to come to those agreements. So, this is that, okay. You reach an agreement, mutual agreement. You negotiated something, right? You have to compromise. You cannot always have it your way. I used to have a manager back in the day when I used to bartend back in Vegas in a nightclub, and he used to tell me, and I love this expression, life is not Burger King. You cannot always have it your way. Sometimes you have to make a compromise. You have to give a little bit to gain somewhere else, right? So think of it this way. It's a dance between two parties. And your mission, and your partner's mission, is to create the most harmonious environment for both of you to be able to grow, unfold, and have an amazing relationship that lasts for as long as possible, or for as long as you wish it to be, based on what your need in this relationship is. Because again, as I advised you earlier, it's about defining for yourself what a successful relationship means. In my case, before, it was being in an open relationship with someone, because I wasn't interested in committing long-term to someone in an exclusive relationship, because I didn't have the time to commit to an exclusive relationship, and I like my freedom and so on. So in my case, that's what this relationship looked to me. But let's say my next relationship, I want to have an exclusive relationship, and possibly family and kids, right? Which is a very different type of relationship, but it doesn't mean that that's what relationship is. It can be many things. It can be friends with benefits. It's up to you to decide, right? But communicating and creating these boundaries and mutual agreements and communicating these needs is what this healthy relationship, regardless of its structure, would be like. Because the opposite of this is what it's referred to as covered contracts and unspoken expectations, which both lead to a lot of frustration, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of disappointments, and just a cocktail of just disgusting emotions that nobody wants to experience. Because, again, you're expecting someone to read your mind. You're expecting somebody to do something for you. You're expecting that someone would do something for you if you did this, and so on, right? All can be easily avoided and forgotten if you just change your thinking, rather than, again, being in the space of oh, they should know, should be able to read my mind, and kind of be telepathic, and hopefully a sidekick too, so they can know everything I think, everything I feel, everything I believe, and so on. Well, again, it's impossible. So help yourself, help your partner design, create, and build an amazing relationship mutually together by communicating clearly your needs, your expectations, your desires, your boundaries, and coming to mutual agreements on them. Negotiating what works, what doesn't, and where can you give, and where can he give, and she give, and so on, right? To create, again, a harmonious relationship that serves you both. We spoke about what to do first as far as your homework before getting yourself into any new relationship. We spoke about what is important to build a healthy relationship. What are the fundamental things to be aware of and do in order to build a very harmonious relationship with your partner. And again, a relationship is a vehicle for personal growth. So even if you do all these things, do not expect that, again, you're not going to have rough seas in your relationship. This is not Pollyanna. This is real life. Things happen. And again, you will be tested. Your partner will be tested. And the strength of your relationship will be actually demonstrated in those moments when both of you are tested, or one of you is tested, and how do you stand up for them, and how do you support them along the way, right? Are they there for them, or are you just there for yourself? And again, if that's the case, this is probably not the video you want to listen to, so go do something else. Now, the next point I want to talk about is actually how do you select your partner, or how do you meet your soulmate and attract them? Well, here's a very simple and important thing to take in mind. Have you ever played with magnets? 2 of them? And notice how the plus and the minus, you don't have to do anything, they just kind of attract each other with very rapid rapid desire, and you don't have to do anything. As long as they're close enough, they just suck each other. And when you have minus and minus, or plus and plus, you have to really press them hard, and like the harder you press, the harder they press away from each other. Well, this is very important, because this is how finding your soulmate or finding a compatible partner begins with. It's based on chemistry. And chemistry, it is nothing magical to it. It's a very simple equation. We both, men and women, have masculine and feminine side. This is my masculine side. This is my feminine side. Same with everyone else. Your left side of the body is the masculine side. The right side of the body is the feminine side. We both have, doesn't matter what your gender is, you have masculine and feminine energy. What creates the polarity between 2 persons, the chemistry, as we called it, or it's been called, is this: who's predominantly masculine and who's predominantly feminine. Meaning, like, in order to have a strong attraction, polarity, chemistry between 2 people, one of the people needs to be predominantly masculine, or grounded and centered in their masculinity, where the other partner is grounded and centered in their femininity. Once you have this, again, it's very simple. The analogy with the magnets, it's plus and minus on a magnet. As long as they're close enough to each other, bam, that's it. Magic happens. Very simple fact. So if you're a woman, my advice is to really befriend your femininity and start to do things that are feminine to help you with this, to connect with your feelings, to make yourself pretty, be elegant, be gentle, move in your hips, dance, play, laugh, right? Create this femininity, connect to your femininity, because here in America or in the Western world, I've noticed, unfortunately, the women are taught out of their femininity. They think that this is something that they should leave and to just be, live behind and be strong and independent women. Well, here is my advice. Why is this toxic? It's not going to help you, and you're not going to find a healthy relationship ever with this mindset. Is that no man wants to be in a relationship with another man who looks like a woman. No offense there, but this is the truth. Unless they're gay. And most likely, and nothing against homosexual people, and whatever it is. Maybe you're watching the video, you want to meet you're a man, you want to meet a partner, or you're a woman, you want to meet another female partner. That's perfectly fine. The point is that there needs to be polarity, and you can also see this polarity working in homosexual couples, LGBT, right? If there are two girls, you will notice that, or two women, that one of them is the feminine, is the one that's gentle, that's elegant, that has all the makeup, and the other one looks very masculine. She dresses like a man, she has short hair, and kind of like this macho style to her, right? Same with between two guys. It's the same thing. You'll see one is softer, very moving femininely, dancing kind of like all over the place, where the other one is kind of like big and solid, or very grounded, centered, masculine, and they attract each other because this is how chemistry and polarity is created. So if you're a woman and heterosexual and you want to attract a man, well, and what do I mean by a man? I mean a man who is mature in a sense of his manliness, his masculinity, and is going to give you the things that you need as a woman. You want to be as much as connected to your femininity as possible. Because if you're a masculine, or predominantly masculine, strong and independent, what you're going to end up with is some feminine man that at first is going to feel like, oh yeah, this great relationship, and then 2-3 months later you're going to hate him because he's like your little child. He's not your partner, he's not your significant other, he's like your little brother, your little cousin that you have to kind of like go after and take care of all the time. He's not going to be able to give you the things you need, so your femininity, your true self, can unfold and come alive, because he cannot hold the space for you. This is where the masculine comes in. It's about being grounded. It's about holding space. It's about making you feel safe, seen. So my advice is, if you really want to have a healthy relationship with a man, as a woman, is to connect to your femininity and to do things for your feminine side. Now, if you're a man, the opposite is absolutely true. If you want to attract a woman and have an amazing relationship, there has to be polarity. And this can only happen if you are really grounded in your masculinity. And I know this is an issue out there too, because me including, growing up, as a millennial, there weren't a lot of masculine or men out there giving a proper example of how men should be men, or what it means to be a man and to become a man. As prior societies to other modern society, doesn't matter what they were, had initiation processes for both women and men that separate the boys from the men, the girls from the women. And a lot of the tribes that still exist to nowadays, they still have these same traditions of initiation. So for a man, if you really want to be in a healthy relationship with a high level of chemistry and polarity, you want to connect to your masculinity. You want to be a grounded, stable, present, and offer, in reality, space, or hold space for your lady, and listen to her. She doesn't want you to fix her problems. She just wants you to listen, to be there for her, to be that solid part in her life. The one thing that she knows is always solid, stable. So there's a lot of books on this topic. I'm not going to go deeper into this because this is a whole different topic of discussion, but those are two things to look around or look at deeply if you understand or know that you have an issue or this could be an issue. Again, I also do not recommend if you're a very feminine man, but you are heterosexual and ending in a relationship with a masculine woman, because you don't want to be the woman in the house. She's going to hate you for this, and you're going to hate yourself too. I would first focus on connecting to and accepting my masculinity, and again, who I am, where I am, how I am, and so on, and working on this aspect first, doing your homework rather than running to the next thing so you can get distracted from the work you need to do. Now we know what chemistry is. You understand how it works. Then the next topic and point that is important to make is that whenever we are in relationship or interested in evaluating someone for a relationship is does this person has genuine desire for us? Meaning, like, are they excited to see us every time, or do we always have to make like things, make an effort to do something for them and so on? It's kind of like you have to do all these things eventually for them to show up, and they still like, oh, you know, oh, you're here, right? Is there a genuine desire? Are they meeting you halfway? Is it like again, are they making an effort to be there for you or to be in this relationship, or is just you doing all the work and they're kind of like, nah, I don't give a fuck, you know, like I can leave tomorrow, right? Like where they're disattached. This is very important because, again, you want to save yourself the frustration, the headaches, the heartache, and all these things that come with ending up in a relationship, which, let's say, could last temporarily, but will be nothing but a transactional relationship. Because if you don't have genuine desire between the two partners meeting each other halfway, you have a transactional relationship, which is like, I'll be there for you, but only if you do this for me, or do this for me first and maybe I'll show up, right? It's always a transactional. There is always an exchange going on. It's kind of like every time you want to go out, it's like a negotiation, right? Oh, where are you going to take me out, or what are we going to do, or this and that, instead of being like, oh, I love, like, I'm free, I just love spending time with you, right? Or let's do something, like I'll make some food, you bring this or whatever, right? Meet me halfway, or, everyone does something. There is a mutual effort, right? There is mutual investment on both sides, because here's the thing. A healthy relationship requires a mutual investments from both parties, because as in business or even when I work with my clients, I tell them that unless you have skin in the game, meaning you invested substantially in your transformation of this process, you're never going to value it, because you can just quit tomorrow. There's nothing in it for you to lose because you didn't invest anything to begin with, right? So we want both parties to be investing in a relationship in order for them to have skin in the game. Because if they don't, who cares? Like, they can leave tomorrow without any regrets or anything because they never had to do anything to begin with, right? The next better opportunity transaction appears on the horizon, they can just evaporate and you never hear from them. They ghost you, as it's said, right? So you have to be very careful and attentive to this. Is this person investing? Do they have genuine desire about me? And so on. And how do you know if they have genuine desire? Well, it's not that hard to figure out. right? You look at their eyes, how their emotional state changes when they see you, when they're around you, how affectionate are to you, are they like all over you or not, or like are they very reserved, or you always again have to do things for them, and once you do, it's kind of like they reward you like they're a good dog, like good boy, or good girl, right? I definitely advise you to pay close attention to this because it's very important so you don't get burned along the way. I don't want you to suffer or have to go through heartache and so on, which you can easily avoid by just being mindful and paying attention and aware of what's going on and where is this person in a sense of like their headspace, emotional space, and behavior, right? Because here is a little tip I'm gonna give you. This is the most important hack you can take from this video. I mean, there's a lot of important points, but this is an important hack that you can take and apply for the rest of your life in any situation. It's not what people say, it's what people do that you should be paying attention at. Because people's action express their priorities. Very important. Keep that in mind. So always pay attention to what people do first and to what they say second. Because it's more important what they do than what they say. Now, it's ideal when what they say and what they do is coherent. It's in correspondence. Each support the other, right? There is a 100% match. That's magical. If that's the case, wonderful. But if it's not, always pay attention to the person's actions, right? Actions express priorities. I want you to keep this in mind. Now, the next point I want to discuss is the subject of conditional versus unconditional love. Now, this is something very important to start wrapping our heads around. Conditional love is like a transactional relationship, meaning that I will love you if you do this for me. I will love you if this and that. Like, there's always a condition that means like, if you do this or if this is true, then I will love you. Unconditional love means you just love someone, something, yourself, life, whatever, for no other reason but because you can. Because this is your natural state. Because this is what the true soul does. Or what our true self does. Our soul. It's all love at the end of the day. If you look at evolution, at the end of the day, what it represents is independent entities coming together in ever more complex systems where they can collaborate, driven by one thing only: unconditional love for each other. And finding or developing unconditional love is part of this life journey and why we get into a relationship. Especially when we are in a relationship, in a healthy relationship. We learn how to love not just only ourselves, because this is where it starts. Because if you don't love yourself, nobody else will. And you love yourself because you did this, or you earned that, or you have that much money, or you have this boyfriend or girlfriend, or whatever career or title. No, you love yourself again because this is your natural state. This is something you can do, and you don't have to do anything about. It's just something. It's a muscle. The more you train, again, the better it will become. It's like going to the gym. The more often you come, the more weights you lift, the stronger your muscles will become. And again, interesting fact is, why do we know, or why are we unfamiliar with the difference between conditional and unconditional love? Well, I'm gonna try to explain this in the shortest and most concise way as I possibly can. Early in our childhood, until the point we start to comprehend what other mom and dad would say, right? Even if we pooped there, our parents were happy. Or if we walked there, they were happy. Or said something, they were happy. But then it becomes a moment around the 2 years, 1.5, 2 years old, when we start to comprehend what they speak, like no, yes, and so on, right? When they're starting to train us in the sense of disciplining us, to obey them as their kids. And what they do, not because they don't love us, but they use this in order to train us and to discipline this and teach us how to be. They start to withdraw love whenever we don't do what they ask us to. Right? You don't get, oh, good boy, I love you, come here when you go and do something that your parents don't like. They'll usually be like, nah, whatever, bad boy, go there, bad girl, and go hide, or whatever, go in your bedroom, go do this, right? This is how we are learned and programmed. Again, this is just a conditioning thing that we've been through because we don't know better at this early age. And we think that love represents we doing something to be validated by others, or something that others like. And then we getting love back. It's something we do and then we get back, right? It's conditional. If I'm a good boy or I'm a good girl, I'm going to get love. And if I'm not, then I'm not going to get love, right? This is why we are trained and conditioned to perceive love as something that you give or you get whenever you're good, or somebody is good and then, or fits your picture, rather than being just a natural state of you just being loving because you can, and there's no better place to be at emotionally and spiritually and in your body. There's nothing else that feels that way when you can just love for the sake of love. It's intoxicating. So think about this. This is a very important point. And again, this is part of our growth journey here on planet Earth, or this game of life. It's not something that by just listening and intellectually understanding you'll be able to turn into part of your identity and being. Is something that you will have to practice over time. But again, it's like a muscle. The more you practice, the better you get, the stronger your muscles become. And your loving muscle, train it. It's well worth it. And the last topic I want to talk about is, especially after we've done our homework, we've become a polished gem, we went out there, met an amazing person, laid out the foundation for a healthy relationship, and we are already in a relationship, or we are considering getting things more serious with that person, and let's say investing further and making bigger commitments and so on. Here's how you can have a good guideline about how you can determine if your relationship or the partner you're currently in a relationship with has a potential for a long-term, lifelong partnership, or a relationship that would last a long time and has long-term potential. The most important thing that you need to evaluate is your personal values, your own and your partner's values. The bigger the alignment, the higher the probability of your relationship having the potential to be long-term, healthy, and maybe a lifelong partnership, right? The less match between your personal values, the lower the chance, right? You want to have, I would say, at least three values to be like, okay, yeah, there is a potential there, because our values change over time. They're not set in stone. It's not like we have the same values throughout our life. They change from time to time. But as long as there is a substantial match between our values, then this relationship has a potential for a long term. And how do you determine your values? Well, that's a very interesting thing. Again, as I said earlier, or a few moments ago, actions express priorities. Well, to determine your own values, the simplest thing to do is to look at what things are priority in your life. What things do you always have time for? For example, in my personal life, I'll tell you what my values are. I always have time to eat healthy, to exercise, to meditate, to create content, to learn, to study, to meet with friends, to what else? To ride my motorcycle, right? There are certain things I value a lot. To go and travel, to do something new, and so on, which express my values, because our values can be easily extrapolated from those things we always have time for. So if you're, again, do some soul search and deep self-reflection and notice what are the things you always have time for. You will definitely be able to come into conclusion to what are the things you value in your life, at least right now. And again, these things change over time, but it'll be good to have the, similar, or maybe even do it with your partner, do it together, so you can see where their values at and where yours at. Is there, you do the pie charts, and whatever it is, the overlap is, again, looking for at least 3 of them. That's a good starting point. So this would be a good indicator on how to start being able to realistically evaluate the potential for a long-term relationship with this partner. Well, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it and being here with you. I wanted to say thanks for tuning in again, investing your time. Hopefully you'll learn a lot of powerful insights that you're going to implement, and please take me up on my offer. I offer each and every person the ability or the opportunity to schedule a free complimentary coaching call through which I can serve you powerfully to overcome your greatest challenge in your life right now, or take advantage of your greatest opportunity, whichever or whatever your situation is. The link is down below. Click on the link, get onto my calendar, schedule your call. I look forward to serving you powerfully. You can also sign up for my amazing complimentary online course, which also is loaded with value, and it works through email. So you're going to get a new email every day with a lot of tools, hacks, and tricks that you can apply directly into your life and begin your holistic transformation. And I hope that you'll be back here next time again for another one of these videos. And also, please, the link below also there is a link to my up-and-coming workshops, and I would imagine this is how you actually stumbled upon this video, through one of the links in my workshops. Hopefully, soon enough, the ongoing staycation will be over, and all of us will be back to the new life, whatever the normal setting would be like. And you can meet me live in person for one of my workshops and come learn amazing insights wisdom, gain value, meet other exciting people that are also working on themselves, because your peer group is essential for your long-term success in life, because we tend to turn out like the people we spend the most time with. So please come and join us. Check out the link below for all of my upcoming workshops, and come and join us in person. Make some new friends, introduce yourself. I'm happy to serve you in person again. Sign up for your coaching call, sign up for my class. I'm always happy to help. Leave me a comment. If there's a question, leave me a comment. I'm happy to answer it. Please like, share this video, like and share the video if you think that it was helpful and your friends can benefit from it, or someone else can benefit from it as well. Subscribe to my channel. I love you guys. Thanks for allowing me to serve you again. Have a wonderful day. See you next time. Bye.